Hey everybody, it's me, VallyGirl. Um, I know it's been a while since I've did an update. I believe March was the last time that I did do an update. Um, the reason I'm doing this update today is because when I heard um, that the comedian Robin Williams had passed away, um, it really hit home for me. Um, you know, I've been following him for a while since I found out that he suffered from mental illness, and he's self-medicated with alcohol. And it's funny because about 2 weeks ago, me and a young lady, we were discussing him, and because we had heard on the news that he had admitted himself into rehab, so that he could, just recover from whatever he was going through. And then to hear this on the news, well, actually, I saw it on Facebook yesterday, and I just could not stop thinking about it. I could not stop crying. And so I posted this morning on Instagram a repost of one of my segments that I had did about a year ago, and I just felt like today I should do another update. One of the reasons why it's been so long that I haven't done one is because I was feeling discouraged, and basically, because of the stigma of mental illness, it just, I just kind of like just put my hands up and said, you know what, I'm just not going to talk about this anymore. People don't understand it, they don't get it, so, you know, but it is it's a part of my therapy to be able to talk about it. If people don't comment, it's okay, but I know that people are watching because I see the views. And I just feel like if I can help someone by some of the things that I have to say, then I feel like it's not only helping whoever it is that's listening, but it's also therapy for me to be able to talk about it. So I'm back again talking about it. For those of you who don't know, I do have mental illness, which is a disease, and it's basically a chemical imbalance in your brain. And I've been diagnosed with severe depression, anxiety, and paranoia. A little over a year ago, I was diagnosed with mental illness, but I've been suffering from it for years. But I didn't know, what was wrong with me. I just knew that I was feeling some type of way, and I couldn't really put my hands on it. I couldn't even explain, what was really going on. Um, well, mostly everyone has an underlining of a form of mental illness, but it usually takes something traumatic, to actually set it off. And for me, myself, I was in a 20-year marriage that I was being mentally abused by my husband for the entire 20 years that we were married. But I guess I started noticing symptoms, which I didn't know was, a form of mental illness at the time. I just noticed that, you know, um, the symptoms that I was having. Um, so I was becoming agitated. feeling sorry for myself, low self-esteem, very sad. Um, Started drinking alcohol. Didn't realize that I was self-medicating myself. I was just, doing it to numb myself from the abuse that I was having. And so I'm not going to go really into my whole story yet because I'm, working on my personal story so that I can go out and talk to people about it. But yeah, about maybe like in my 9th year of marriage is when I knew something was wrong. Something was definitely wrong with me. I just didn't know what. And I became very, very suicidal, and I will really go into that when I go into my personal story. I have not been able to work for 4 years now, and I am under the doctor's care. I'm on medication, and I go to therapy every week, once a week, and I try to eat right, so I try to keep a healthy diet, and I try to exercise. I notice that, when I do exercise, it does help a lot. And it took me 4 different medications before I was able to, before the doctors were able to prescribe a medication for me that actually did work for me. And I won't be discussing the type of medication that I'm taking, but I will discuss the side effects. And I just don't feel comfortable discussing my medication because I'm not a doctor, and my medication might not be the medication that works for you. And so I don't want to give, any false hope to anyone for telling them that, you should use this medication. You should ask this doctor, about this medication. But I will discuss the side effects. And talk therapy is very, very good. For me, I am a Christian. I grew up in the church. My dad was a preacher. My grandfather was a preacher. And so when I first found out, that I was diagnosed a little over a year ago, I was actually, excited because now I knew what I had. I knew what was going on with me, because no one understood. My mom, who is the closest person to me, didn't understand what was going on. She couldn't understand why I was always crying, why I was always sad and just so depressed all the time. And now that I've been diagnosed and I go to meetings for it through the National Alliance of Mental Illness, and my mom also goes to the meetings, the family meetings that they have, their support, and so it helps her to be able to understand and cope with me and deal with me since we live together. But before that, it was just, I didn't know what was wrong with me. And so I turned to my church. I turned to some family members who were also Christians. And that was really discouraging for me because they just thought that it's something that you need to pray over. If your faith is strong enough, you won't feel this way. You won't feel suicidal. You won't be so depressed, But what they don't understand is that it is an illness. It's a disease, just like cancer. If my kidneys were going out and I go to you about it and tell you that I have to start taking chemo or I have to start taking dialysis, are you going to tell me, no, don't listen to those doctors. You don't need chemo. You don't need dialysis. Just go home and pray about it. You need to have faith. You need to have faith. No, you're not. You know, you're going to see my hair coming out if I have chemo. It's something you can see. You're going to see the discoloration in my face for having dialysis. You know, it's something that you can see. But mental illness is not something you can see. It's something that is carried out by an individual. And when you see it being carried out, you think that we're crazy, or we're lazy, or we're just not normal. And that is not the case at all. One example I could give is, you know, when AIDS and HIV, you know, came out, everyone was so scared. No one was educated. You know, they thought that you can get it by kissing someone or eating behind someone or breathing it even. But it was talked about all the time in the news, you know, and in schools. Everyone was trying to become educated because no one wanted to get this disease. And so it's the same thing with mental illness. People need to become aware and educated. And it's sad that it takes people like Robin Williams and other famous people to suffer from this illness and die from the illness. It's sad that it takes that for it to come out, because now it's being talked about on the news, on Good Morning America, on the Today Show, on late night shows, on Instagram, on Facebook, you know. NAMI, the National Alliance of Mental Illness, Michael Jackson's sister, Rebe Jackson, she's also a member, and her daughter is also a member. She is diagnosed with mental illness. And if you go on the website, you can also hear her story. But if more people would talk about it, and yes, entertainers, because that's who people listen to, if they would start talking about it more, then we would be able to be understood more. And people wouldn't just think that we're crazy, because I am not crazy. Not by far. But I am paranoid. I'm not like I used to be because I'm on medication. But before, I couldn't go to a mall. I couldn't go to work. I can't drive. I'm driving a little bit now within my city, but not all the time. The 80% of the time I'm driven wherever I need to go, because I don't feel comfortable driving myself, and I'm just scared. When I used to be an excellent driver, and you know, so that's the reason why I stopped doing updates. That's some of the reasons why. I was just feeling really discouraged. But I thought about it, and I said, you know, I'm just going to continue to talk about it, because not only is my therapy, but I don't want to be selfish. I want to help someone else. And because I've taken classes through NAMI, and I've become more educated, it's my desire to speak on mental illness, and to be able to tell my story and share with as many people that I can about this disease. Really quick, the suicide prevention lifeline, I've seen it. I mean, I know the number because I've called it numerous times. I see it on Facebook, and I've also seen it today on Instagram. And it's called the Suicide Prevention Lifeline, and the number is 1-800-273-TALK, TALK. And if you're ever feeling, you know, suicidal, don't pick up that alcohol, don't smoke that weed, don't self-medicate on any type of drug, because that will just make things worse. It will make you more depressed.